Hey guys, last Friday in our small group we had a very interesting discussion. And since not everybody could attend that small group, I thought make a short video so that those who couldn't attend can also think about these things that we discussed. The question that came up last Friday was basically this: how could the Israelites still doubt God after experiencing all those miracles? The Red Sea crossing, water from the rock, all these things. How could they then still doubt? How could they then still think, I don't know if God will give us food. I don't know if God will help us against the giants. I don't know if God will be for us this time. After all these miracles that they have seen, how come they still have this many doubts? And there are probably many factors that play in to such a doubt, but I personally believe one of the major factors was really the way they have lived. Where did they live for the last 430 years? I mean, not individuals, but Israel as a nation. They've been in Egypt. They've been slaves. They've basically been told their whole lives, you're a slave. You are nobody. You are nothing. You are not worth much. All you have here is all the reason why you exist on this earth is to work for someone else. That was their mindset. And of course, there were young people, there were old people, but imagine someone who is, let's say, 60 or 80 years old, and all their life they had experienced that kind of lifestyle, and they've been told by the Egyptians over and over again, you're just here to work, you're worth nothing. That has been so ingrained in them that they probably couldn't really overcome that. So when God dealt with them, or when God revealed himself to them and brought them out, they still dealt with all these years and decades of believing this lie, I am nothing, I'm worth nothing. And so being God's chosen people was probably just too good to be true in their minds. And that probably was a major factor why they doubted God over and over again. So that was to the sermon from last week, but then to the sermon from last Sunday, that also plays a very important role, because we did talk about our childhood, we did talk about who we are, and we did talk about overcoming these kind of lies that many of us believe because of childhood experiences. And I believe one major factor that many Christians are struggling with is if we have not been if we have not received the right identity from our parents. If we grew up in a house, or if we grew up in a family or in a lifestyle where we have been told you're worth nothing, or you're just a kid, or adults telling us something like I'm more important than you are, and these kind of things. If that's how we have been brought up, and then at age 20, 25, 30, 40, whenever, eventually we become Christians, then we have this big baggage on our shoulders that still tells us you're worth nothing. You're not important. You're really just a small human being, and there are other people who are way more important than you are. I do know from personal experience, as well as people that I've talked to over the years, sometimes the biggest barrier that people have to overcome is actually believing that they are really treasured, that they are loved, and that they are accepted by God, simply because their whole childhood and their whole lives they have been told something else. So this is something that kind of tied in perfectly from the previous week to this week, even though the topics were very, very different. But it is really something that overlaps here. The Israelites had real trouble believing that they were God's chosen people, simply because they've been told something else for many, many years. And maybe some of us deal with these kind of lies as well. Maybe in our childhood, we've been told over and over again that we are not special, that we are not worth much. And if that's the case, then it's very, very hard to truly believe and embrace. Maybe we believe it in our heads, but we have trouble believing it in our hearts that God really loves us, that we are special, that He cares for us, that He died for us personally, and that he, the creator of the universe, wants to have a personal relationship with me. So that's something that I wanted to share with you guys today. Next week, the next 2 weeks, we will probably have other people sharing these kind of short midweek messages. But that's the thought that I wanted to give to everyone, to pray over, to think over, and to see if, and if yes, how it applies to our own walk with God.